in the end of the day, even if you win, the next day you're not happy. When I'm teaching girls, I can see how we are always saying sorry. I retired, but like I am already thinking about Worlds next year. So I think I'm a little bit addicted. If I keep hurting myself that much, like it's not gonna work. And sometimes if I see girls like struggling, it makes me crazy, you know, feel like I'm disrespecting. No, like you gotta respect yourself first and then respect someone. My name is Luiza Monteiro. I'm from Brazil. I train at Atos.
Going to like a competition, you just won Worlds this last season, and you had you had an amazing season. You won like Europeans, Pan Ams, Brasileiros, Worlds. You won the Grand Slam. Do you feel sometimes like that you put pressure on yourself if you set a goal?
No, I don't feel pressure anymore. Like because it's been a while that I compete, so I compete because I like it. You know, I like the feeling. So I don't have like pressure. You know, I think the girls that are coming up, they have the pressure. You know, I feel like if I was them, like I would have like the pressure to I have to beat her, like to be on top, you know. And for me, if I lose today, it doesn't matter too much, you know. I just go there and try to do my best, so I don't feel pressure at all.
It's because you already have so much experience.
Yeah, and I have all the titles that I wanted ever, you know, so I already had it. Now it's everything is gonna be extra, you know.
And so, what continues you to drive to compete? Because as you mentioned, you already won everything. So why do you keep going?
Because I like it. I like the feeling. I like the process. I like the preparation. I like the way I see myself like improving day by day, you know, even my cardio, my body, my jiu-jitsu, my timing. So I think I'm a little bit addicted on that, you know. And then for me, it's kind of like a test, you know. I do everything and then I go to the tournament to see if everything that I did, it works or not, you know, if I have to get better in something. So it's not about like beating someone, it's more about like me and my game, my jiu-jitsu, see if it's working, if it's good, if it's not. So I think this is the thing that drives me to keep going. You know?
More like you against yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think one time I saw you post something like a good fighter is a happy fighter. Do you feel like that? Like
Yes,
you feel
for sure, for sure. I think like if you're not like in a mentally in a good place, it's hard, you know. And I've been there before, like fighting and not being like mentally good. It's hard, you know. So I think when I am happy with my life, and then everything works out.
Did you also experience times where you were not happy?
Yeah, a lot of times. And now, like I know that if my life is not like, how can I say, if everything is not good, I need to fix that because back in the days I thought that my whole life is about jiu-jitsu and it's not. There is other parts, my family, my hobbies, things that I want to improve in other parts in my life. So I've been there before, like struggling in other parts, like sometimes mentally, and then competing. So in the end of the day, even if you win, the next day you're not happy, you know, because like your life is a mess. So you gotta like figure out how to manage everything to be like in a good place, like mentally, spiritually, and physically, and everything like works better.
Yeah. Continuing on that, sometimes hard, I think, to keep the balance if you are really focused on competing and like sometimes you, I don't know how it's like for you, but you can feel like things like family or friends, they take a back seat and they're less of a priority. Do you feel it's like that for you or can you balance everything out?
Yeah. Now it's not anymore because now I know that I don't need to do all the things that I used to do in the past in order to be a champion, you know. Before I was always thinking that I have like to train all day long and like not going out for a dinner or not like seeing a friend or not like missing one training or another. But now I know that like I have to have one good session of jiu-jitsu and then use that time 100%, like do my best in this training, and then I strength conditioning, and then eat healthy most of the time, you know. But it doesn't mean that I can like go out with my friends or like hang out with my husband or like see my family, you know. So now I know that most of the things that I did in the past, even if I did not, like I would be like champion, you know, because in the tournament it's more like about if you're feeling happy and if you're like, if you're like mentally like in a good place, relaxed, no anxiety, you know. So I think it's 50% all the things that you do, like the training, your technique, your conditioning, but 50% of like your mental game, you know.
You need to be ready for that
Yeah.
too. Yeah. But and did it take you some time to find this out? Because
Oh
you say now
yeah,
I know.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, it took me a while, you know, to figure it out. That like the first Worlds that I won in 2015, right after it was like hard time for me because then I realized that because I was always like, okay, I want to be a world champion, I want to be a world champion, and I was just focused on that. And then the next day, you have all your life to look up, you know, like okay, so what I am missing, you know, I have the title, I have the medal, but and now my family, my friends, my life, what I like to do, who am I, you know, like a crisis, you know. So then like I start like thinking more about that and trying to balance because it's important, you know. Or
Yeah.
it's our title is it's good, it's a goal, and I know that like I have a legacy, but like it's not like your whole life. It can be, you know, it can be.
I've heard this from other people who like set out to win worlds and then they win worlds and then they can be very confused the next day or even sad or like
Uh-huh.
feeling unfulfilled. Is that what you felt like after the first
Yeah.
worlds?
Actually, like after all the worlds that I won, like this year too, like after the week after, I was like so depressed. It's crazy because I don't know what happened. Like, and I heard that like most of the athletes they feel like that. Like I saw Simone Biles in Netflix, and
Yeah,
then
the
like she was talking
documentary.
about like after the Olympics how she feels sometimes, you know. So I think it's more about like your life and like because we sacrifice a lot. We sacrifice our body. We sacrifice like um, everything about life, you know, in order to be a champion. And then like when you turn this into reality, what, you know, like the rest of the life, the rest of the things that you like to do, like who you are. Like sometimes we just identify ourselves as an athlete, like okay, I'm Luiza Monteiro, like jiu-jitsu fighter, but like I'm not just like that, you know. I'm a person, and sometimes we forget like okay, what I like to do, who am I, like how,
Outside of jiu-jitsu.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know. So it's hard, I think, for most of us.
I was going to ask, does winning change anything?
For me, no. No, for me, never. I think that's why like I keep like fighting, and like I think when people like change or like want to change because of a title, it's too much pressure, you know, because then like you need to win in order to be someone or like to feel that you're someone, you know. Like so for me, I am who I am, even if I lose or like if I win, it doesn't matter, you know. I think nothing changes.
You are retiring now from the competition. I can imagine only it's like it's a transition and maybe life is going to change. I don't know if you're planning to do super fights still or like no only no
Yeah.
IBJJF anymore.
No, I want to do super fights. I want to do like GPs, you know. Maybe I retired, but like I am already thinking about worlds next year. So I don't know. Like Gustavo always say that like for me, the only way for me to retire if I get pregnant. He always say like, man, if you have nothing like else that can stop you, you're gonna keep going, you know, or like an injury, you know. So I don't know. I'm retired. Like I know that Brasileiro and Pan Ams and Europeans, I'm not gonna fight anymore. but worlds maybe, and like super fights for sure.
It's hard to pick the moment when to stop, right?
Yeah, it is, it is. I feel more, it's more about like my body than my mind, you know, like in my body, like I feel like my injuries are like now getting worse and worse and worse, and it's normal, but it's more about like this, like how I'm feeling during the process, you know, like it's been hard for me like to keep like training hard um, every day, you know, and like all year, you know, so it's more about that than like I don't feel like I want to compete or I win everything. No, for me, I can keep fighting, like, but just until my body say yes.
Yes, and then I understand it's hard, like when to pick the right moment to stop. But so, what do you think is behind that? Like, why do you want to keep going? Like, where's the fire still coming
Yeah, I
from?
think sometimes this is a good thing. I like to do that. It's a hobby for me to compete and like to prepare myself. But in another hand, like I think it's a comfort zone. You know, like that's what I know to do. I know to like how to prepare myself and how to train. I know the secret to be a champion, you know. So it's a comfort zone. uh, I think if I try to do something new, it's me stepping out of my comfort zone. And sometimes I don't feel like I want that, you know. So some people say like, oh, it's cool to keep competing and everything, but now I am trying to see in a different perspective. I think it's my comfort zone, you know, saying that, oh, stay there, because for me I don't need to think too much anymore. I don't need to like figure out how I'm gonna be a champion. I know what I have to do. I don't have to think, I just do, and then I go there and do my thing, you know.
You do it.
Yeah, so like I try. If I lose, it's because the girl was better than me, or like, you know. So I think now it's a comfort zone, so I'm trying to, you know, challenge myself to start like thinking about like, okay, I need to do something new. I need to be a white belt in something else, you know, like maybe open a gym or like trying to study different things, you know, because it's not no more a challenge for me to keep competing, you know. It's more like fun. I like it. It's a comfort zone, you
That's
know.
so interesting because for most people, competing can be a very scary experience and not at
Yeah.
all in your comfort zone. But for
Yes.
you, because you've been doing it for so long, this is like you're a fish in the water and you know
Yeah,
what
so
to. Yeah.
I like to do it, and I know how to do it. So it's easy. It's not hard. So I know what I have to do when I wake up until I sleep. And so it's more like, how can I say, automatically, you know. I don't have to like study and think a lot, you know. So sometimes I blame myself for that, you know, like, okay, I know you like to compete, it's nice, but like you have to challenge yourself to start like doing something new.
So I'm curious, like, because there's so many people who are in the bracket and they all work hard and they all train hard and everybody wants to win. What makes like, what is special about you, or like, why are you so good as you are?
I think because the way that I was thinking about like my jiu-jitsu, you know, I want to be very complete, you know. I like to have like a good defensive guard, a good like offensive guard, a good base to not get swept, and like it's hard to finish me and it's hard like to stop my passes. And so I always like to think that if I compete against me, I want to think it's hard. Like I can't beat this girl because if I push, she's gonna pass. If I play on top, she's gonna sweep me.
Always an answer.
So I was always like, okay, what I have to do in order to get in this place. So then you go and do what you have to do, you know. So and my submissions, I think about like it's about like my jiu-jitsu, my game, and it's about like experience too. You know, I know that like I know everything that is going on there. I know the feeling to be on the mats, you know. And I don't think I am like that different, and it's good because I feel like it's a game. It's me against you, and let's see what you have to offer, and I'm gonna offer my best. And then so I feel that the way that I think, I don't put pressure on myself, and I always respect my opponents. I always put them in a place that like they are like really good, so I always prepare myself in order to face someone that is really good, as I am, so I think maybe this the difference, I'm always like putting them like in a high level. So then like I have to always keep preparing myself and getting better and better.
You never underestimate.
Yeah, never.
Has there ever been any opponent who maybe got inside your head a little bit, that you feel like you're maybe too intimidated, maybe in the beginning?
No, I don't think so. Like, no. Even like back in the days that I used to fight with Via Mesquita all the time, and like sometimes I was winning, sometimes I was losing. So like I tried to take from the emotion and try to look more rational, and like I try to see technically, so I don't look to my opponents as like persons, but I look them like as like their techniques, the way that they fight, the way that they handle themselves, So I don't even like look at their eyes when I fight. Like I just look to the body, like where I'm gonna grab, So I don't care who it is. I think more about like the jiu-jitsu, where they step, with which leg they like to pass, or like, so it's not personally, So I don't mind too much.
So you separate the
Yeah.
emotion from the facts that
Yeah.
you see. Yeah. When you were up and coming, maybe before you were a black belt, or when you just had your black belt, did you ever have like, that you didn't feel confident enough to win? I think I'm more trying to ask is, how can you believe in yourself before you did something?
I think like it's easy because you don't have the pressure. You're like someone that it's new. So if you lose, it's okay because nobody cares. Like people always expect the champion to win, and if you win, it's something like it's a big deal. So even back in the days, was not a pressure for me, but mentally it was hard because I was always putting myself in a place that I was not high level. So it took me a while to like understand that, okay, I'm there already. So I was always respecting too much my opponents. And then after a while, I was like, okay, I'm in that place, I have to, and then the way that you fight sometimes shows that, because I see how people get in good positions and then they stop because they don't believe that they are doing that with a person or like a champion. So I think I struggled with that in the past. Like, okay, I can give more than that. Sometimes you go fight, and then if you go out, and then you feel like, oh, I can do better. I can give more, and I am holding myself. So when you realize that, and then you stop doing that, and then you can like fly.
You're free, you can compete free without.
Yeah.
So I think last question, one thing that you mentioned yesterday or earlier in the camp that I was very impressed with is I asked you something and then you said, yeah, it's okay, I know how to say no. And I thought that was a very strong thing. Like, did it take you some time to get to the point where you're comfortable to say no and to like be clear where your boundaries are?
Yeah, it took me a while because back in the days, like it was something like, okay, you're a color belt, you have to train with everybody, and I had no girls to train to, and more than that, like I didn't know how to train. So I was always training hard. I was always saying yes to people, but I got like injured like very young, like in my back, my shoulders, and then I started like realizing like I can't do that to my body. Like I can't train smart. I can't train to be like a champion. I need to I can do like things in order for that, but like if I keep hurting myself that much, like it's not gonna work. So then And sometimes if I see girls like struggling, it makes me crazy, you know. Sometimes like I am in a place and then a guy try to train with a girl that I know that it's not a training for him, and then I can see like the girl saying yes, but I can read and see that they don't want you. So this makes me crazy, you know, because sometimes I feel like the guy have to look at the person and say like, oh, okay, you don't want that, you know, like it's okay, or like not even like say, oh, you want to train with me, you know. So then like I realized, okay, I need to be this person that start like saying no, because if I see a girl doing that, I was like, okay, that's the thing, you know, like say no, right? So when I do that, I do not for myself, but for all the girls that sometimes they feel like, you know, I can say no, I have to train with this guy because he's a black belt. No, I look and say no, you know.
Yeah, and I love what you said. Oh, sorry, you want to say?
Yeah, and like even for the girls that are color belts, I say to them like, it's okay, say no, you can't do that, because sometimes I know they feel like, oh, but I'm not a black belt, you know, I don't feel like, I feel like I'm disrespecting. No, like you gotta respect yourself first and then respect someone, you know. So yeah.
And I love what you said yesterday too, because you said no and you smiled and you didn't say sorry. Because I think a lot of us are used to saying no, I'm sorry, or trying to find a reason, but just no is a full sentence and it's enough. Yeah.
And I always like to say that because when I teach like privates or like when I'm teaching girls, I can see how we are always saying sorry, like always saying sorry. Even like if I teach a technique and I can see like the girls sometimes like forget something or like they don't understand something, they say sorry, and I always say like, don't say sorry, like you're learning, you know, like this is the first time that you're learning, and you see that I am used to do that like for years, so like it's okay if you don't know how to do it, you know, like, and I know that like we are used to do that. I don't see men doing that. Like I don't see them like saying sorry all the time, you know. I think it's more something about like women, you know. So I always like to say them like, don't say sorry. It's okay if you can do that. It's okay if you're learning. It's okay if you make a mistake, you know. You're not hurting nobody, you know, like you're not like doing something bad. So don't say sorry,
So true.
you know.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap it up, but thank you so much for the interview. I think like it's been a pleasure having you at the camp and teaching, and aside of that, also bringing in this kind of knowledge and like making the next generation like strong women. So you're truly an example. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.